YouTube, what's good? It's your boy, Paul Harris, aka Crazy Off. Hey, guess what? This your first time tuning in. Go ahead, hit the doggone subscribe button, hit the notification bell every time I post up new content. Well, people, if for the past, I don't know what, 24 hours, 36, 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever, unless you've been out on a rock, right? You know that NBA legend, 11-time NBA champion Bill Russell passed away this last weekend. He was 88 years old. Um, Thoughts and prayers goes out to the family. Let me just actually really just come out and actually really say that. I mean, because regardless of what he did on the basketball court, most especially, right? Somebody they lost a loved one. Okay, so so for the most part, uh, mad respect. You know, um, when people die, it's. I mean, there's no this. Everybody's gonna have to die sooner or later. Me, on the other hand, I don't want to die. I just want to. I like, and I've always thought of this. And if I was actually really able to, if I'm actually really able to have my way, this is exactly how I would actually really want to leave this earth. I don't want to die, right? But the way that I would actually really want to leave out, like, just let me motherfucking vanish. As far as like, okay, like this one day. Hopefully, it's not no time soon. But even if it is, I look at it like this: at 49 years old, right? I've done. I can actually, I'm not gonna sit up here and say that I've done a lifetime. I'm not gonna sit up here and say that I've done a lifetime worth of work, right? But I could be like, okay, hey, look, he was involved in his community. He was in the community groups. He went to the Million Man March. He served 21 years in the United States Army, right? I wrote a book. I'm in the works of writing a second one, right? So just the 21 years that I did in the United States Army alone is enough, But like I said, the crazy uncle is gonna be here for a long while, right? You know, don't plan on me leaving no time soon, right? Because I still have chapters to write. Chapters will still have to be written, right? And then on top of that, shit, I got my YouTube channel, so I ain't trying to go nowhere. I'm not really trying to leave this motherfucker no time soon. Grant the fact I can't choose how the fuck I leave, right? But with all that being said, though, right? I look at everybody today. Especially people in the sports world. They giving their thoughts about Bill Russell, what he meant to the game, what he meant as far as like civil rights movement, all that kind of stuff. Everybody's giving their, for the people that actually really watched him play. I wasn't around when, by the time that he played and by the time that I was born, he had already retired from the game. I mean, but I go back and I watch highlights or whatever. But here's the deal, and I don't want to actually really want to disrespect the dead, if indeed that's what the hell you actually really want to call it. Right? But Bill Russell, it's just like the rest of these motherfuckers that is actually like really played the game, that actually really took that oath. And then it just was fact he was a goddamn Boston Celtic. Part of the original 13 colonies that came over here. Right? They did crooked shit. They got caught. They brought their hands over here. They established the first 13. Right? All that shit, the Boston Tea Party, everything happened up there, and then, as they say, shit rolls downhill. Right? And so for the most part, right, professional sports has been rigged for as long as I can motherfucking remember. Right? And then, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to motherfucking Skip and Shannon right now. And they're actually really sitting here talking about, okay, what Bill Russell actually really meant to the game, what he brought to the game, this, that, and the third. Okay, look, I get all that, but here's the deal, right? And this is where, and see, like I say, if I actually really had the technology, in which I will have here eventually, but if I could actually really take this piece of what the fuck they talking about right now, they should have been talking about civil rights this, civil rights that, civil rights the other. But here's a guy that played for the Boston Celtics, right? Again, this is part of the original 13, right? And then if you actually really believe the bullshit story about slavery this, slavery that, slavery the other, right? Why would you have a black man come on your basketball team, something that was actually really invented by a white person, so-called white person, and then here it is, you get a black man that actually really dominated what the fuck you invented. And then you allow him to win 11 of them damn things. So with all of this stuff about civil rights this, civil rights that, civil rights the other, so let's actually really stop and think about this for a minute. Because if indeed it was truly racism, so-called racism, the one thing that you ignorant bastards still believe right to this motherfucking day, right? If indeed that it was so-called racism, Bill Russell would have never had a shot. He never would have been able to play basketball. Right? Now, I know what a lot of y'all are saying. Oh, but that ain't the case. Well, like this, it never was the motherfucking case. A lot of y'all, what y'all holler about, when y'all holler racism, y'all really got to understand what it is, what the fuck that y'all actually talking about here. Because racism, so-called racism, really doesn't have shit to do with color. Y'all may make it, y'all are sitting there and make it about color. But But when it's all said and done, right? Just because put like this, if I don't like you because you're a so-called black, that don't make you a racist. That just means that you don't like that particular color. I done said this once before, right? Human beings and automobiles, you fall under the same type of concept, right? Because we have different type of automobiles. You have cars and you truck. You have cars and trucks, 18-wheelers, tractors, bicycles, motorcycles, whatever the case may be, right? And guess what? All of them are different colors. But guess what? All that shit still falls under transportation. And so you have to look at human beings the same way that you look at transportation. We as human beings, we come in different colors. We come in different colors. We speak we speak different languages. Some of us can actually really speak English. And then a lot of us really don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right? But it's just for the simple fact, it is still English. So where the fuck does the racism come in at? Because you look at that bullshit color, right? Because, like what I said, if it was really a goddamn issue about his color, he never would have been able to play for the goddamn Boston Celtics. Let's not get this shit twisted, people. Just like a lot of you motherfuckers actually really believe right to this day that Jackie Robinson was the first to ever do it. No, he was not. It was Moses Fleetwood Walker. He broke that barrier as far as like motherfucking professional sports. Stop riding motherfucking Jackie Robinson's nuts. Because Jackie himself would tell you, if he was still living, that he wasn't the first to ever do it. They put that on him. And him, just like anybody else, he took it and he ran with it. But Jackie himself knows that he wasn't the first to ever do it. And so the thing about it though is this. What the fuck y'all think is going on, or what the fuck y'all actually think that went down, did not go down like how y'all thought that it did. So put it like this, as far as him being an activist, him being with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, I think Regina King, she did a movie about this whole thing. I think it's called like A Night in Miami or whatever. And they was actually really talking about this. They was talking about so-called civil rights. But the thing about it was this. I mean, if put like this, if I allow you to play, right? If I allow you to play, then everything else falls into place, right? How that, I'm gonna put it like, because you know, I look at it like this, right? If I don't like you, then I'm not gonna cheer for you, right? Even though you are my favorite team, I'm not gonna cheer for you, right? Don't turn around and cheer for me, and then I can't eat. See the stupidity? And I know what a lot of y'all probably sitting up here thinking about, well, that's what it was. But my thing is this. The whole thing is this, people. This is television. This is telling you the vision. Now, do these people lie? Well, guess what? I'm gonna put it to you like this: who was Bill Russell's main rivalry when he played? Wilt Chamberlain, right? Wilt scored more points than him, right? And this is where the bullshit comes in at, as far as like championship goes. As far as like what the fuck Vegas, how Vegas goes, or even the motherfuckers that act like really controlled the gambling back in the day, right? So, yes, Wilt scored more points, right? But Bill scored more, got more championships. So how the fuck that work? How does that work, people? Right? This is almost this is the same shit that happened with Peyton Manning when he went to the Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks. He scored all them goddamn touchdowns. He broke the record as far as like touchdowns. Just like Wilt Chamberlain got a record right to this day, can't nobody break. This motherfucker scored 100 points in a game. But you mean to tell me that when Bill Russell comes around, this motherfucker just shits his pants. He can't beat he can't beat Bill Russell. So Bill Russell just gonna get 11 of them things just because he's Bill Russell. Right? And again, I can say the same shit about Michael Jordan. Right? When you are actually really selected to win shit, then guess what? That's what the fuck you gonna do. You're gonna win because it was meant for you to win. And then, like I said, as far as like that being an activist, as far as like so-called black folk go, so-called African Americans, you want to do right about us. But then again, apparently these motherfuckers don't know that during that time frame, who the fuck that was president then, which I think it was Eisenhower, right? Go back and look at his lineage. Go back and look at who his mom and daddy was, or who his grandparents were, right? But this is civil rights that we're talking about here. Now, I get it. Some blacks will act just as fucked up as some so-called white folks. But the thing about it, though, is this. When you actually really go back, when you go back and really look at shit, and then you got to ask yourself, okay, well, what the fuck is really going on here? What is happening? What's happening here? Professional sports, as well as all that shit that goes on, as far as like the telling you the vision goes, or television, right? All of it ain't nothing more than a crock of shit. Because again, once you do the goddamn research, find out who was president then when all that shit was going on. In the 50s and 60s. Well, hell, I can tell you who the fuck was president then. It was Eisenhower. Then it was Kennedy. But then the thing about it, though, this, go, like I said, go back, pull up President Eisenhower's records. Go back and look at his family. Look at his family. This motherfucker was so-called mulatto, another word for being black. Then they always say, hey, look, they always did it like, okay, well, what they say, the one drop rule. 1 ounce of blacker than you, guess what? You black. So I'm just like, okay, I got it. But the thing about it though is this, right? Go back and actually really look at this country and how these motherfuckers actually really do shit about this country, right? Somebody that laid down with somebody that they weren't supposed to lay down with, whether it was by rape or whether they was acting like really motherfucking creeping, right? But but then again, this shit didn't happen too many goddamn times for it to be a motherfucking coincidence. So I'm put like this. I'm not here to actually really. I know it may seem like that I'm. Well, yeah, you know what? I am clowning. I mean, I'm not actually like really. What shit? You can't help but to clown Bill Russell because he played a game that was bullshit. It was fixed. These motherfuckers they already knew. You in Boston, Massachusetts, part of the 13 colonies, right? So you bring the criminal aspect for where the fuck you was at from England to here. They ran you out from England for wherever the fuck that you did over there. You come here, but you bring with you the concepts from across that water to here, right? And then you do be like, okay, well, we gonna call this Boston, Massachusetts. And then, however, they came up with the name Boston Celtics, and then they decided who's gonna actually really decide to play for the Boston Celtics, right? But then again, also look at it like this, right? You can look at this the same. You can look at professional sports the exact same way that you can look at politics back in the day. Back in the day, it was more black folks, so-called black folks, in Congress than what the fuck that they are today. So you can actually look at it the same way as professional sports. So when you have a Bill Russell, of course he's gonna win all of the motherfucking championships. Regardless of how many teams that were in the league. Right? Motherfucker, how many teams that were in the league. Guess what? Bill Russell, he couldn't control that. Right? But the thing about it though is this. You look at the championships that this guy won. And then you actually go back and look at all of the so-called black folks that was in office during so-called slavery time. The so-called presidents that was in so-called slavery time. Right? You motherfuckers forget about Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Calvin Coolidge, George Washington, which I just found out. And I actually really went back and I looked that shit up. I mean, I read the fact. A lot of you motherfuckers be like, okay, so you gonna actually really believe what the fuck somebody tell you in a book? Well, put it like this. Somebody had to document that shit. And when it's like that, it boils down to, okay, you know what? Is this something that you actually really want to believe? Or is this actually, or if this is actually like the actual factual? None of us was there. We can only go off of what the fuck that is told to us. Right? Well, regardless of whether or not George Washington was black, white, put like this. I look like this. He was neither one. He wasn't black, he wasn't white. Okay? Dark skin, swart, whatever, however you actually really look at it, right? only way that we actually really gonna know is that, okay, did they have cameras back in the day? Could you could you actually really take a picture of a motherfucker back then? Like you can actually really take a picture of a motherfucker today, right? And then who's to say that what the fuck that they did back then that they can't do now, right? Somebody can actually really take this particular video right here, what I'm doing, change my goddamn color, change my motherfucking voice, and then guess what? It ain't no more goddamn crazy uncle. But y'all know better. So all my thing is this. Bill Russell, you as a human being, hey, guess what? You was here for 88 years. And I actually really could say some shit about that too. But my whole deal is this. Let's actually really look at what went down with this individual. Right? Yeah, he fought for civil rights, so-called Dr. King. And I actually really did a video on civil rights. And I actually really broke down the word civil for y'all. Now, am I actually really saying that this guy couldn't play basketball? No, I'm not saying that. Right? But when you actually really stop and think about it for a minute, right? You look at what Bill Russell did, and then you look at what the fuck Tom Brady is doing now, or what the fuck he's trying to do. Four more rings, and he will actually really match Bill Russell. But the thing about it though is this, right? You look at what the fuck Otto Graham did, but that was pre-Super Bowl era. So this is the Super Bowl era. I don't be surprised, and I'm saying this right here, right now. Now, am I saying this? If this is the first time that you hear this, no, I'm not gonna say that. But even if it is, don't be surprised, right? This upcoming season, that they don't try to find a way for Brady to win and find another reason for him to come back another 3 goddamn seasons and he wins. But the thing about it though is this. He'll win He'll win in Tampa Bay this season. Right? But then just know he gonna go somewhere else. I'm not gonna tell you where. I have a pretty good idea where, right? But it's just for the simple fact is that this shit, it acts like really goes a hell of a lot deeper than Bill Russell could ever imagine, right? The motherfuckers, because at one point, they're going to be actually really looking at the simple fact, okay, what Tom Brady is doing or what the fuck he's about to do is next to the impossible. And Tom Brady is going to be the main reason why or where he should have been already the main reason why that the NFL is fucked up like it is now. Because it's just for the simple fact, this motherfucker is 40 plus, but right to this day, his dick ain't been thrown in the dirt yet. So what the fuck is wrong with that goddamn picture? Because the motherfucking offensive line for Tampa Bay ain't really about shit. Because somebody somewhere is saying, hey, guess what? This motherfucker is 40 plus. You really can't fuck with him too tough. So if I'm putting it out right now, if you know what? I'll just go ahead and say Tampa Bay will win this next Super Bowl. That'll bring his count up to 8. And then even then, he's going to be 3 short. But then again, you got to also look at it like this. They just might, clone that motherfucker if they haven't already done it. And yes, this is the crazy uncle talking, but just know what the fuck the crazy uncle is talking about is really not too far from the goddamn truth. But then again, it's like this, right? They let Bill Russell have 11 of them damn things, right? So let's actually really take a real good look at Bill Russell. What did he do? Who is Bill Russell? What did he sacrifice, or who did he sacrifice? Because again, this is professional sports that we're talking about. Professional sports is rigged. It's been rigged. So let's just say from here on out, let's just see what the fuck happens. Because if Brady wins another one, you already know who he's trying to capture and why. But this bastard is too old. And then they're going to actually really bring out the simple fact, oh, he's the superior athlete. Now, if this don't sound like the same shit that Hitler tried to do when he was in power, I don't know what the fuck is. He wanted that superior race. And I hate to bring in so-called racism on this. But if Hitler was around, right to this day, he would be so goddamn proud of Brady, he would be trying to suck his dick, suck his balls, and lick his ass. Plain and simple. So, with that being said, guess what y'all need to do? Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dan, tell Big Bertha, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your papa, motherfucker next door across the street around the corner, Paulus Harris, a.k.a. Crazy Uncle. Yes, pass and share this one. I dare you. And I'm out.